Hello.
Good evening.
We are excited that you all are joining us today for Testimony Tuesday.
Yes, we are.
We are here just to testify of the goodness of the Lord and to hear people's testimony of God's keeping power, God's delivering power, God's healing power,
Yes.
all of those
Sustaining
things,
power.
His sustaining power.
Absolutely.
All of those things are what we are here to testify about on tonight. And so we have a super special guest with us on tonight. And before I introduce her, our scripture is Revelations 12:10 and 11 that says, "And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now has come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our God and the power of his Christ. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto death." And so we are just sharing.
Just sharing and encouraging at the same time.
Absolutely. So thank you all for joining us on tonight. Go ahead and tag and share. And I think that is it. Like, share, tag. Hit the hearts or something like that that does something to the algorithm or something. I don't know. But anyway, share it with someone, not even for the algorithm, but you share it with someone that could be blessed by this testimony on today, blessed by the goodness of the Lord, who needs to hear that God is still doing it. He's still working miracles. He's still healing, delivering, and keeping. So good evening. Good evening.
Yes.
Thank you to all of you all who are jumping on. I want to go ahead and I'm going to put this on another page as well. But we're going to jump right in. And so we have Labricia Williams-Hodges with us on today. And she has such a powerful story. I just remember getting a call about your story, getting a call about you and your husband. And I don't even know if you remember, but it's been years ago when it was really, really fresh. I don't even think the funeral had happened and we reached out to you all and you remember. And so it was just at that time, I had heard of maybe somebody losing a child, but I hadn't heard of somebody losing two. And it just, it was just the most, it was just hard. It was hard to hear, hard to just even think about. But I just knew at that moment, I just wanted you to know that God was a keeper. And as hard as it was and as fresh as it was, I just wanted you to know that he was a keeper. So before we even jump into that part of your story, tell us what life was like before December the 29th, 2013.
Life was normal. Normal in the sense of Nas and Zaya, we lived in Camp Lejeune.
Okay.
Well, before we can back up before Camp Lejeune, we lived in Oxford, the hometown of all. We lived in Oxford, North Carolina. I worked at Oxford Manor as a nurse. Nas and Zaya went to CG Cradle.
They love not their lives.
And we lived normal lives. It was just me, Nas, and Zaya.
Gotcha.
Until we we met who was my husband, Isom Hodges.
Yeah.
We met him and we moved away in 2011 to Camp Lejeune.
Okay.
We met him, we got married, and we moved away with him to Camp Lejeune. We stayed there for years. Me, Nas, and Zaya with lots of deployments. He's gone on lots of deployments, and we were there. We grew together. We learned to be, independent on our own while Isom was gone to deployments. And then when he came back, we decided that we wanted to be strong a family and left Camp Lejeune because we didn't want to deploy anymore.
Gotcha.
That's when we moved to Alabama.
Wow.
We moved to Alabama because he wasn't going to deploy anymore, and we were going to be what we always wanted to be, together again, not separating anymore, and we grew. We stayed in Alabama from November. We got there in the end of October. We stayed in November until December 25th.
Okay.
We left home and went to back to Oxford to see our families. But I had just moved to Alabama. I had just got a job as a nurse. They had just gotten school good. Everything was getting normal. Ison had a job locally. He came home every day. I went home every day. We were all just living. We decided we're gonna go home one more time to see family because Alabama was about 14 hours away from home.
Wow.
So we said we're gonna make one more trip before we get here and get settled.
Okay. So you all were moving from Alabama back here.
Mm-mm.
No,
We
you're
moved
moving
from
here,
Camp
Capital Lejeune to Alabama.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
To get because we had been separated so
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
We were me, myself, Nas, and Zai. We were separated from our Oxford family.
Yes.
We were separated from my husband, so it was just us.
Gotcha.
So then we were going to say bye to our Oxford family. We were going to make our family together in Alabama.
Gotcha.
And we did move to Alabama, but we just left for Christmas to go and see everybody that final time before we stayed.
Wow. So you all leave. You're here for the holidays,
Right.
and so you got to see all the family and spend time with family.
Mhm. We then visited my grandpa. That's what we had Christmas at. My grandpa, and my grandmother's house. Ison has 2 girls. We went to Virginia and picked them up too, and we all were together. My family, his family, everybody were together.
Wow. Wonderful.
We also, before that, we went on a trip to Disney World with some military, the Parkers. We went to, what did we go to? Busch Gardens, Kings Dominion. So we got to see a lot of people while we were here doing stuff.
Gotcha.
We had a lot of togetherness with everybody.
Right.
And then the plan was to go on back home and settle and get stuff straight. But the plan changed.
The plan changed. And so it is now December the 29th, 2013. You all are heading
To Alabama. We were able to get Ison's kids back home. His kids lived in Virginia. We left seeing everybody. We went to Virginia to drop his kids off, and we were driving back to Alabama. We made a stop at the rest area. 1 hour left to go home. We drove 13 hours. 1 hour left to go home. We stopped at the rest area. Nas and Zai got a snack. I told them, take a nap. Next time you wake up, we'll be at the house. They ate a snack, and I said, okay, go to sleep because we got to get home. It was a Sunday. Y'all got school in the morning.
Gotcha.
So I said, Mama's going to nap too. He was driving. They went to sleep. I went to sleep. And I was woke up to chaos, confusion, just lost. Ison was saying, you need to wake up. And normally when we go places, Ison is driving, and he says, we're at home, time to wake up.
Right.
So it's not hectic. It's
Right.
just like put your shoes on. I take shoes off, put my feet up in the chair, the kids sleeping. He's just waking us up. But this time the wake up wasn't the same. And I was like, what is wrong with you? Why are you rushing me? Like, give me a chance to put my shoes on. And he was like, you cannot. You have to get out. I need you to help me get the kids. And I'm like, get the kids for what? They can get out themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, no. We've had an accident. And I'm saying, an accident? No, we're home. And he's like, no. You got to get out the car. We got to get out the car before it blows. And I'm like, oh, but I couldn't. I didn't know it at the time, but I was injured myself. I had burned, and my back was fractured, my shoulder, my knee, so I couldn't help. I tried, but I couldn't. I was like a rubber person. I couldn't help. So he pulled me out of the car through the window and put me on the side of the road while he went to go do the work to get them. Him and the truck driver, which is what happened. The truck driver, I don't know the story all of it. Ison would know more so because I was, sleeping unconscious or whatever the case may be. But I just know the part where I was pulled out. But him himself had to go and do the work. But the truck driver, I remember being on the side of the road and seeing the 18-wheeler on top of the car.
Wow.
Which was what happened. That truck driver rear-ended us. Not only us. 3 other people, maybe, I think he said. A person on a motorcycle, another car, and another car. He injured a couple of people, but ours was the only tragedy. We were the last ones to be hit and to get drugged. And by the time they stopped with us, the back of the car was at the front of the car. The back seat was right there.
Wow.
You know, I was the passenger, Isom was the driver, the back seat was right there. Najee was behind me, Naziah was behind Isom. And that's the last I ever saw of him. I got out the car and I sat on the side of the road. And when the ambulance came to take me to the hospital, I told them I wasn't going. I said, I'm not going anywhere. I want my children. And they said, if you just need to go to the hospital and get help, you haven't seen yourself. And I said, I don't care about me. I want my children. And they said, we'll bring you your children. And I said, you promise to bring me my children? I'll go to the hospital, you bring me my children. And they said they would bring me my children. And I went to the hospital and I wouldn't get care and I wouldn't do anything until they brought me the children. And they kept reporting back to me. They kept saying, they're working on the car, they peel the roof back, they're working, they're trying to get the children out and all this kind of stuff. And I said, okay, I will sit right here and wait. And they was like, no, you need MRIs, you need PET scans, you're burned, you just don't see yourself. You just can't see yourself. And I said, I don't care. I want my children. I'll wait here until you bring them to me. And then I go get help. But they just kept continuing to tell me that they was gonna bring them to me. And so I said, okay. So I went in and got debrided and got the wound scraped off. They shaved my head completely bald because my hair was on fire. I had caught on fire. My hair was burned out. I was burned. I was injured. And you know, stuff was broken. So they took me back and did whatever. I had some smoke inhalation, found out some stuff was broken. Then they took me into the breathing, shaved my head, and got me wound burn care. And then when I came back out, I remember seeing that lady who promised me. And I'm like, where are they? And she was like, and I was like, nothing. Ain't no need to tell me that. I mean, you shaking your head, you saying the wrong thing. You shouldn't be saying that. And she was like, we did all we could. And I was like, no, you didn't. If you didn't bring them here, you didn't do all you could.
Right.
And she's like, I promise we did all we could. But by the time we got to them, it was too late. And I said, no, I'm not, I'm not going to accept that.
Right.
You promised. I went and did what y'all said, and y'all hadn't did what y'all said. And I wasn't, for a while, I wasn't anything. I mean, you know, I still for a while was just waiting for them to bring them.
Right.
Like, somebody's going to bring them. This is not real. Y'all must be joking. It's no sort of thing as they gone. What they gone to?
Right.
But I waited and I waited until it was so that they were gone. And then I was there in the hospital in Alabama somewhere. I don't even know where. 1 hour from my home, and just there. No family, nobody but Isom and the people. We didn't know anybody.
Right.
We didn't know anybody in Alabama, period. We had just moved there in November.
Yeah.
We didn't know anybody. We were just there. We were there. I had to stay and get burn treatment and stuff. Isom, he got injured in the back of his head. He had a concussion, some injuries to the back of his head. But me injured, Isom injured, and the children gone. And just, Jesus, don't know what. Just don't know what. But they flew my babies back home here to Wright's Funeral Home, and I still had to stay there until I could be released.
Right.
How
long was it before you were released?
I don't know. I think about 2 weeks or so. I don't remember. But long enough, some family members came up to see me, but I was swollen head about that big, and you know, therapy had to do a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But eventually I got released and came back, and then I had a stroke. I had a stroke. I knew I was having a stroke because I'm a nurse.
Right.
So I called Isom and I said, because he had went to the gym, and I said, you're going to need to get here because I'm having a stroke. I was crippling. My voice was going away. My talk was going away. Not my voice, but you know, it was starting to turn into babble.
Yeah.
And we had came back home, and we were moving to, what did we move? Petersburg. We stayed there. He had a duty station. They put him in Petersburg. That was the closest they could get him back to home.
Yeah.
So we stayed in Petersburg, and that's where I had a stroke. But thankfully, I don't have too much. I didn't stay in the hospital a week. I went from a crippled arm to a twisted mouth to dabbling to me now. I did therapy for a little bit, but I was able to go home without anything. I was okay. I recovered from that stroke.
Thank God.
Yeah, thank God for that, because I didn't want to have that story to tell on top of that, but yeah.
Wow.
But that was all pretty tough because it was just too much stress for me.
Right.
It was just
Right.
too much.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Because I was putting my kids somewhere. I was putting them at school or with grandma or just somewhere, like they couldn't be gone.
Right.
But then I had to. Once I probably faced it, I guess that's when it was too much for me, because I said I can't just let them be somewhere. You know, good and well you gonna leave your kids at school that long, or you know their grandma ain't keeping them that long. Or something.
Right,
So
right.
you don't go make yourself crazy believing that.
Right.
So I just let them be where they were, and accepted that they were where they were, and they are okay.
Right.
And I let go and let them be where they were.
Wow. And that's hard within itself. I can just remember different aspects of, our story, just not facing it immediately because I couldn't. Like, it was just too much to even think about or process at the moment. And so I can identify with what you're saying of just like not even dealing with it. Just, it is what it is in my mind. But,
Right.
Wow.
But then, I still had to deal with my nieces and my stepkids and all that stuff too. So that was stressful. That was stressful to continue on to try to deal with kids and deal with life when mine had stopped.
Right.
Mine had stopped because that's all I had.
Yes.
And we were, thank you. We were, of course, they were my kids, but they were my everything, especially when I didn't have family and friends and nobody, and then we grew so close,
Right.
while Ison was deployed and stuff. So they were taking care of me. We were taking care of each other. We were actually in therapy while he was gone, learning how to grow together and depend on each other and what factors made us strong. So we grew together
Yeah.
even more so. So it was super hard, but it's gonna always be hard. But I make it. We make it.
And so, as hard as that is, because I don't say was, because it's a daily process. Grief is a journey. And so it just doesn't happen today and end tomorrow. It is like a lifetime journey, really. I really kind of think.
One of the things that we found out is that, we've always heard that cliche, that time heals all wounds. Well, we found it to be that not to be so. All wounds may heal in time. God is the healer.
Yeah.
In this, not time.
Right.
So it's just tough.
And people think, I truly say, people think you're so strong or super, and how can you do it? And it's just like, I don't think it's called a choice. It's just called I went to sleep and woke up this morning.
Right.
Like, I didn't choose to do
Right.
that. If I had any choice, it would be the other way.
Right.
But people think that I'm some type of warrior walking around. But if I could,
it wouldn't
I
even be that way.
So it's definitely time doesn't do anything but ticks and keeps going.
Keeps
So
going.
you must go on.
And I always say God heals in time, but time doesn't have the ability
Right.
to heal.
Right.
And so it is just, and then when you talk about the strength, people say, you're so strong and stuff, but it's not it's him. It's just all God. Because when we're weak, he's made strong. And so I think about that often, like, nobody would choose to walk in these shoes, if you had the ability to turn back the hands of time, you just everything would change. So
And it's not what if or what could have been done different or anything, because it's nothing that can change it. I mean,
nothing.
everybody comes with a day and a time. We
Absolutely.
didn't know that was gonna be the time, but if you would have known, I wouldn't have went anywhere, I wouldn't have done anything.
Right.
You know, but I probably still would have happened. So I can't say that. I try not to live there. I should have never went home. I should have just let it be, and it wouldn't have happened. But
I often think to myself, like, what, um, what could I have done? Um, and my mind draws a blank, and I actually always go back to that place. That there was absolutely nothing that I, could have done. However, if I knew that this was going to happen, like you said, we could make some different decisions. But not knowing and having to deal with it, and then from that, after that point, when when the nurse told you that they did everything that they could do, you know, beginning to live with the new normal,
right,
it's like it's so tough. I really can't even put it into words, and it's just to think about it, you being in the medical field, you've probably seen a lot. Um, it's just.
and for a while I was just like, I wouldn't have cared if they were burnt to pieces, crippled. I mean, I would have took them, just
Right.
let them put them out the car, and the arm could have done. I wouldn't care what it did. Just give
Just
it
to
here. I
have.
could have took them, but that's not what they chose. That's probably not what they would have been happy with.
Right.
But I know I always say that nobody wants to lose their children, but I'm so thankful that they're together. And that I didn't have to choose one over the other, or live without
Yes.
one or the other, or them to live without one or the other. They're together.
Yep.
And they're taking care of each other. Lord taking care of them. They okay.
How old were they?
They were 79.
Tell us their names.
Nazir, Jamal Phyllis, and Naziah Moshelle Phyllis.
And Nazir is coming up on his 18th birthday
Thursday.
on this Thursday. And so, what do you all have planned for this Thursday?
So we always go to the tomb where they are at Meadowview. We were always going to their tomb at Meadowview, releasing balloons, doing a cake cutting. I give everybody their candle and we tell a memory. Since they, and then someone sings a song, which is someone special to me. We'll talk about later, but sings a song, and we go to candles out. We release the balloons. But ever since the center, which we'll get to too, we do something there. We
Gotcha.
celebrated the kids at the center now.
So one of the things that we've been big on is like keeping their name alive. And so we want everybody to know about our special babies. And so you have really done the same thing. And so tell us about the center that's located in Oxford.
Well, see, I found out more about my children in their passing than I knew in their life.
Wow.
I found out how special they were to everyone. I mean, I know that
Right.
their good kids are great and good, but so many people came to me and told me how well mannered they were, how helpful they were at the schools, at the church. Just everybody came in and told me so many wonderful things, and I was like, he did that, she did that, really? And so that's wonderful. So I just wanted to make sure that people could tell those stories and people could remember my babies. And so I used to do community events like give toys or do a Thanksgiving dinner here or there, or just give back to school things. I used to do Easter egg hunts. I had like a nonprofit organization. But then that was occasionally and quarterly and stuff like that. And so I grew it into a center where I did a before and after school program in the community on Raleigh Street in Oxford, so that the community could come to that center. And it was just a before and after school program one time, and the kids would come after school, do their homework, play games and stuff. But then recently, in the last year, I turned it into a daycare center.
Wow.
And the daycare center had, I think, ages 2 to 12. And we are growing in the community where people come there. And that way I can always share. When they walk in the door, they not just come into a daycare, they come into Nas and Zaya's clubhouse.
Yes.
And the first
Beautiful.
thing you see is Nas and Zaya there, and I say, "Welcome to Nas and Zaya's clubhouse." And if you don't know my story, it is. And then I tell them, and they're like, "Wow, really? That's a blessing that you can do that, and you're doing it for your kid."
Absolutely.
Tell us something about each one of them individually. Something that you remember about each one.
Nazir was a gentle giant. He was just as big as I am today. I'm short, but Nazir was my size at 9 years old. But he was one of the sweetest, gentlest people you could ever know. He accepted everybody. He loved everybody, no matter how they treated him, no matter what they done to him. He was trying to love them back.
Wow.
People would hit him, fuss, fight with him at school. People would pick, and he would love them back.
Oh.
His sister, on the other hand, was the complete opposite. Complete opposite, a version of myself. She was not playing with anyone. She wouldn't let her brother be treated that way in no kind of way. She should have been the boy, but she was the complete opposite. She told him, "You don't need friends. You don't need anybody. You got me."
Wow.
Right.
I have you. I'm your sister. You don't need friends when you got me. I'm your sister. She would take care of him. She said, "Mom, somebody messed with Nas." And the mom was coming. Mom was coming to
Right.
church, school, wherever it was. And
Right.
they knew it.
Right.
And Mom, it's time for you to come get somebody. And I'm coming. But she wanted me to come help her brother because there he is trying to be somebody's friend again or trying to be loving. And she was loving, but she felt strong and confident in herself that she herself was enough and she was all he needed to.
Wow.
Wow, that's amazing.
Amazing. It sounds like they had such an amazing bond. Wow. And so now we have the clubhouse, and we know that nothing can take the place of the babies that have transitioned to be with the Lord. But the Lord saw fit with his good old self to just add a little bit of joy back into your life. Tell us about that joy.
That joy is called Labricia Williams-Hodges.
Yes.
Zaire from Nazir and Zaya. So Akari, I had so much. I had my tubes tied, but I just could not be on earth without some kids. I got enough love. I mean, I'm full of love, and I'm a mommy before I'm anything. I just raised all my siblings, and I just love the children so much, and my children mean the world to me. So I had my tubes tied. But when I got those tubes untied, and I took my apostle Joanne Evans with me to Jerusalem.
Wow.
We went to the Wailing
We
Wall.
love her. We love her.
Yes, we did.
Yes.
So you all go to Jerusalem.
We went to Jerusalem and we went to that wall and put that note in that wall and we prayed for this womb to wake up and for the birth of another baby. And it did. And it did. And that's it. Akari is here today. And my God, he is Nazir and Zion one. He's 5 years old. He's 5 years old now, and he's just started kindergarten. I don't miss a day. The Lord didn't make a mistake with Akari. I don't get a day off, a second off. He doesn't lack anything. I have to give him melatonin baths, medication, spray the stuff on the pillows and everything just for him to rest at night. He can go all day. So he keeps me busy. I don't have time to do nothing but Akari.
Right.
I don't have any time for anything, but Akari makes sure that he knows his brother and sister. He understands that that's their clubhouse. He tells everybody that comes in there that's their clubhouse, and he remembers them right with us. We visit them. I take him to visit them at the tomb. He helps me to decorate their tomb and put the flowers and stuff up. He wants a picture with them and stuff, and he says he loves his big brother and big sister.
Isn't that sweet?
Well, how old is he?
He's 5.
Yeah.
Wow.
He got good.
Yes, he is.
It is such a hard story, but throughout the entire story, one could look and say, and I know we shared this feeling like, well, how is it really a testimony? Because I'm at a deficit, you know. I don't have what I desire the most. And so, but through it all, God is such a keeper. And so it testifies literally of his keeping power.
You better believe it, because I mean, you know, my mind is still here. I mean, I
Right.
have bad days, but I'm not in the streets. I'm not on no drugs. I'm having committed suicide. I'm still here.
Yes. And that is a testament to God's goodness. When you were telling the story about how you and Apostle Evans went to the Wailing Wall, is that what it's called? It just reminded me of the story of Hannah and how Hannah was barren. She could not have children, and she desired children so bad. And she goes into the temple to pray. And when she goes to pray, the priest Eli is looking at her, and she's praying without speaking, but she is speaking to God, and he thinks she's drunk. And he goes over and says something to her, and she says, no, like I really want, you know, what I'm praying for. Like, she's really praying hard about it. And he ends up telling her, you know, that she will and just go, and she conceived. And so when I hear your story, it just reminds me, it's like a Hannah moment. It's that moment that you go and you pray and you're believing God, you put it all down, doesn't matter what whoever thinks around you, like you literally give it to God, and he turns around and answers your prayer. And that is what God did, you know. And so that is so powerful within itself.
It is, because when I think about everything that you just said, like you got your right mind, you didn't commit suicide. I mean, so those things are options that some people, they took those options. However,
I thought of those options because I wanted my children, and that's the way to get to them. But I knew that is not. I won't see them.
Right.
That wasn't the right choice.
Right.
So the people that were in your corner, praying for you, believing with you, like I said, we love Apostle Evans, woman of prayer, and just, you know,
Absolutely.
all of that. So, but I'm glad, I'm happy that you know, you're here with us today.
Absolutely. With a powerful story.
Yes.
And I think about Apostle Evans again. I have to say this because even in our, you know,
Absolutely.
traumatic event, she was there. Like, I remember her. I remember seeing her there, and even afterwards, like, she was there. You know, so she is just one of the people that I can so depend on, and I just absolutely love her too.
We love you, Apostle Evans.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And so thank you for sharing your powerful story. Absolutely. So if someone wants to bring their babies to the clubhouse, what do they need to do?
Call 919-672-2814. That's me. You can get me, but we are filling up.
919
672 2814.
All right, and it's called
Nazir.
I want to put this up here in Science. It is. I love that you're doing this.
Big blue building on Raleigh Street. Everybody knows that.
Absolutely. So I have pinned it up here. And so hopefully when people go back and look at the live, they're able to see. And so if you are in the Oxford area and you're looking for childcare for your babies, this is a great option to go.
Filling up fast.
I did.
It's filling up fast.
Yes, I did put the science. Let me change that. Okay. All right. I'm going to do this one more time.
We're in the area. We just want to stop by.
672.
2814.
All right. I got it again because I spelled the name wrong. So I want to make sure I have it right. All right. And got it correct this time. All right, there it is again. It is correct this time. So please, if you need childcare and you are in that area, please look her up. I have put the number on live. Thank you so much for sharing your powerful testimony. May somebody's life be forever changed by hearing your story. May someone out there know that because God kept you, He's going to keep you too.
Yep.
And it just shows the power of the Lord to keep your mind when you feel like you're going to lose your mind. He's still a keeper. And so we again thank you. Thank your husband as well, who is not with us on tonight, but we thank him as well. And we continue to pray for you all because this is a journey and it doesn't just stop. As the years go on, it's like I said before, it's still a journey. You're still healing. You're still processing. And so I ask you all to continue to pray for her. Continue to pray her strength in the Lord, for her and her husband, that the Lord continue to keep them. We thank you for joining us on tonight. We love you. Have a good night.
Good night.